This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.
All right.
I'll second.
Great. Awesome.
All
Everybody
approved?
in favor? All in favor?
Approved.
All right.
Minutes are approved.
I have some quick new business stuff.
Okay, great.
I'm jumping ahead because I want to get it in. First thing, so we learned that my son was colorblind about 4 years ago. He's 13. We didn't learn until he was like 9 or 10 he was colorblind. I've been researching, there's a company called Enchroma that makes glasses that help colorblind or color deficient people see more on the color spectrum. Does anyone know of these?
No.
Anyway, a few museums around the country have them. Eric Carle apparently has a pair or two, but they don't advertise it. Anyway, I got in touch with this company because I was like, I think it would be really cool if I had them at my gallery because my son can't see like full spectrum color. Got in touch with them. They're sending me a sample pack of like 4 or 5 pairs of these glasses. They look like normal like reading glasses. We got talking and came up with the idea that, I'm on the Arts Council, it would be really cool if we could make Easthampton the first city where every art establishment and gallery that is open on an art walk has pairs of these glasses in the gallery.
That's great.
That's
So-
beautiful.
Catch is, they will right now like match 1 for 1. So if we buy 1 pair, they'll donate a pair. I don't know how many we'll need, but it's something to consider.
About 15 to, I think 20 is kind of like,
Right.
let's shoot for 20.
So I'm gonna find out how much it's
What are
gonna
they
cost.
called?
Enchroma, ENCHROMA. And he's gonna send me a whole packet of information, everything with him. And I should have the sample, like the ones he's giving to me for free, probably by the end of the week, maybe for next
Cool.
week. So yeah, so it could be really cool. And he's like, we have them in museums, but we've never had like an entire city say every establishment
Yeah, that'd be really cool.
is color deficiency.
Safe.
Well,
Or accessible.
so what it is
Yeah,
like, let's say
accessible.
you have like 70% color loss in red. It bumps it up by like 30% by changing the wavelength as it comes through the lens.
Wow.
So it gives you more color saturation for when you're missing like red, for example. So it's kind of neat.
I just was learning about this because our newsletter that I send, I used to do a lot of like lavender backgrounds and then
Hey.
dark purple text. And a lot of people who have color deficiency, I guess,
Yeah.
is like they can't read it at all. It doesn't come up.
Yeah.
So I've started doing it, I didn't know that, and so I've started doing it differently. So there's like already people in our community that would like be very receptive.
And
to
it's
that.
like 5 to 8% of all men are
Wow.
color deficient, like to some extent. And then I think like 1% of women. But yeah, well, like we laugh about it, but like we were talking about painting my house a few years ago. My son's like, whatever you do, don't change the color of the house. He's like, I love the teal. And we're like,
You're like, it's not teal.
what's teal? He's like, our house is painted teal. We're like, Jacob, the color of our house, the name of the paint is squirrel. Do you think there are teal squirrels running around? He's like, good point. So yes, so it would be really interesting, and the guy who owns the marketing department seemed like really enthusiastic about that idea.
Cool.
So yes.
Very cool.
Yeah, so we'll find out how much they cost. But this could be a great like little community, like
Very much
let's like, hey, Easthampton, let's become the first city
Yes,
that's like, you know.
every gallery, we could get them in every gallery.
That'd be cool. And do you think I mean, depending on the cost, if it's not exorbitant, we could probably tie in with the disability committee or commission.
They're like 200 to 250 a pair of glasses. And
Yeah,
like I
maybe there's
said,
a way to like,
they would donate
if
one pair
there's-
for one.
yeah, and like maybe there's a way to like join forces around budgeting for that.
I think we should do it like an awareness campaign.
Yeah, totally. And I did just have a really quick thought I wanted to tell you, Pascalina, with regard to the newsletter and website. There are a lot lot of websites out there that are free where you can like check your colors to make sure that people can see it. And I'm happy to send those links over.
I did it
Because
through
we
Google.
use that, yeah.
I did it through Google Lighthouse.
Yeah, Google has a lot of great stuff, and there's a lot of like web accessibility
Yep.
stuff out there, so can send that over if you
Cool.
wanna like double check your newsletter again, so.
That's great.
The second one is, I was talking with Will Bundy at Eastworks, and he was asking if there is any progress. I emailed you about this, about a cultural
District.
district
I
for
think
the
we should
mills.
add that to new business.
Okay, great.
Yeah, and I can give some updates
Okay.
on where things are at with that.
Hi Cindy. Hi Selena. Hi Tracy. Hi. Can I grab that? Oh, yep. So just to catch you up, David was talking about color chromatic
The company's called Enchroma.
and
And
chroma.
it's glasses that help people who have color deficiency, colorblind deficiency, be able to see more full spectrum. They're sending me a bunch of pairs for my gallery, but then we got talking about the idea of every art gallery in Easthampton having pairs for people to use in the gallery. That's kind of like the first city to have all arts establishments, like color deficiency. Yes,
Color deficiency.
like resources for color deficiency.
Yeah.
I don't know how you wanna put, I don't know what the,
We'll learn.
accessible.
We're gonna
Yeah,
learn.
we're gonna learn.
color accessible?
Color.
Color accessible for those who are deficient? I don't,
There's a word out there.
yes.
Anyway, just wanted to, that was what we
cool.
were
Yeah,
talking about
that's
when you
really
walked
cool.
in. So, anyway, let's get to programming updates.
Yeah. So much is happening. So much of what we've been talking about for so long is like coming to be. So I will just say I've heard great things about this first Saturday, 4 to 7. I was like braced, I didn't know what to expect, and I've gotten emails and people are very happy. People with children, elders, like a lot of different parts of the community seem overwhelmingly pleased, and that's makes me happy. I'm glad. Let's see, we have Art Walk, our last Thursday. Art Walk is a week from Thursday. It's Poetry Month, so we have a few different things going on with poetry. Art Walk at ECA Gallery, the first half of it is going to be mask mandated. And then our exhibiting artist, Ebby Russell, is going to have an additional reception on Saturday, the 13th in the afternoon that corresponds with our Poet Laureate event called Voices of Easthampton at City Space. That's also going to be a masked event, both of those things. That's actually been a big community education internally for us. I've been talking to the Board of Health, I've been talking to the mayor's office, city clerk, and like doing a lot of learning around accommodations, around public health and accessibility to our public programming, and it's been really interesting, and that's where things have landed, and everybody's very pleased. So wanted to let you all know about that. We are getting ready for the first Saturday Art Walk, which will be Saturday, May 4th from 4 to 7. I've booked some entertainment. I have not yet talked to cultural chaos groups, but I really would love to do that, have a couple stilt walker, like have a little preview, cultural chaos preview. I think that's super smart. I spoke with the radio ads guy. That I had talked to back in like November, and he's thrilled. We're meeting next week to just come up with a plan, and it's gonna launch right after April 11th, like not before then, but like for a solid 2 weeks leading up to May 4th. I'm also gonna talk to them about being present, but regardless, Easthampton Media is gonna be circulating and taking videos of what's going on, but there will be entertainment in each of the 3 districts. I call them districts, they're not officially districts, but like each of the 3 sections of downtown. And yeah.
We have flags ready.
Yes, I'm ordering extra banners. I'm gonna order decals for windows that can just be on all month, all the time. I feel like there were some other art walk updates. But it's like all the horses are lined up and we're ready to go. And I will say last month's art walk was really successful. Like, I know you had felt like it was slower than you had hoped. There were more people on the second floor of Eastworks than I've seen in a while. Luke Cavagnac was open. The comics were, there was a little more activity.
Those guys are really excited about the switch.
Yeah.
So I think, adding on to what you were saying, we have anywhere from 6 to 10 establishments in Eastworks for the first Saturday art walk.
That'll be open?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, they were like doing this one just to get their feet wet again, but they're really excited to do Saturday. And then there's plenty others. Resilient Arts, Sharona Color, I think. The new Alchemy Fiber Mill
Arts,
in the
Fiber
basement
Mill.
is doing an event then.
50 Arrow.
50 Arrow, B, and I can't remember what her Hoop and B.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch, and there's a few more that are coming in. They're going to start doing it in the fall. That have already said
That's great.
let us know because we're interested. So there's a lot of interest in Eastworks, which is
Really
how that turned into the conversation with Will about extra marketing coming from that part.
Yeah, I do have things to say about that.
Yep.
So, yeah, I feel like our hard work is, leading
Paying off.
us to the next phase of things. I know Wedgeworks will be participating, I wanna follow up with Sonnet and Sparrow, like people who haven't been participating are excited, so yeah.
Esquilina, who decides on what entertainment happens and who gets hired to perform or play or?
I coordinate that. I used to book primarily bands or something in Old Town Hall because it's where ECA is. It's just like, but there's definitely been criticism of that, I think well-founded. And so having it circulate, maybe having a couple of events each year where there's like something in a few places, but definitely spreading it out. We had drummers last time down here, and we'll have them back. And they started at Eastworks and then they moved here. So that's been kind of nice to have a little roving. There's gonna be a lot on Cottage Street for the May 4th artwork. Yeah. So. All right. Poetry Month.
One quick
yeah.
second. Water's fine. Is she participating in Art Walk at all, or?
Probably not.
Because she usually closes like that time, but such a great space.
To
And
kind of like land in, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
you're right.
especially the
I
outside
don't know
spot.
her. Do you know her?
I know her.
Yeah,
I can talk to her.
yeah,
Maybe now that it's 4 to 7, it might
Yeah.
help her.
yeah.
I know she works a lot, and
Yeah.
so when it's like time, like the end of the day feels
Yeah, you
like
feel
the
like,
end of the day.
yeah, exactly.
But yeah, maybe for May 4th. We are partnering with her, well, I'll tell you during the public art thing, but it's nice to have her
Yeah,
be open to
and hold that
collaborating
little,
and-
plus, yeah, it's like she has like lights going. It's like sparkly down at her.
Do you know the sneaker place owner
Yeah.
people?
Mhm.
I've never been in there. I have no interest in buying sneakers, but they are really beautiful and cool to look at. So I feel like maybe on Art Walk, I'll walk in there and like,
They're open during Art Walk.
Like, I just wanna make sure they
show
are.
art. They've been showing local art. In fact, I met an artist who's gonna be showing at ECA Gallery in March 2025, because he had a
Cool.
show at the sneaker shop. Stacy is a woman who owns it, and she now comes to the Cottage Street Cultural District
Oh, good.
meetings. And she's been awesome.
Cool.
Like, she and her husband are just like, they're open late, but
'Cause
they
yes.
don't open till later.
They own a garage.
Yeah,
So
they
they
have
do
like a whole
automotive
other
repair during the
business.
day.
Oh, cool.
And then this is like their after hours
Yeah, that's
job.
Yeah. But they came to like the
Cottage
Cottage
Street?
Street Cultural District Visioning session. Like, Stacy's been real vocal and like active and like has really great perspective. They live in Holyoke, and they're like, they like that Cottage Street feels like a bustling little city, and like, it's just like, I really value her perspective. It's like, some people are like, the noise, and she's like, no, it's like the noise. Like, there's people, like, people are like, it smells like weed, and she's like, it smells like weed. There's music, like, people are
Right.
hanging out, like,
Yeah.
it's good. Like, you don't have to do that, but like, it's active
Yeah.
and like, yeah, like,
It's friendly,
Mhm.
yeah.
yeah,
She's very friendly.
super friendly, and so, yeah, she's been like much more involved and, yeah, and is open for art walk.
Alright, cool.
So Poetry Month, I mentioned we have our Poet Laureate event on Saturday, April 13th. Ebby's having a show then. We're also going to have, I'm working with the library, so every year we do a poetry poster project in the storefront windows on Cottage Street. And this group of teens on the Youth Advisory Council at the, I can't see anymore, at the library have been making erasure poems.
Oh, fun.
And so each of these is gonna get blown up on a poster. I put this little blurb together, the youth, the teens have okayed the blurb. That happened today, she just dropped them off in the mailbox. So, they'll be blown up, and there's a little description about the partnership with the library and the Poet Laureate. Oh, and this is exciting, so, every year we have a poetry ice cream with Mount Tom's. And every other year, we like invite someone, like a local poet, to design the flavor and why. And so this year, but then every other year, it's the new Poet Laureate, they get to do it. So Carolyn worked with these teenagers to design the ice cream. And so it will be available, it's called Mint Magic Surprise. And it's cute. So it will be on sale at April Art Walk.
Okay.
And it's good, it's there till supplies last, and it's usually like through that weekend.
And where are the erasure poems gonna be blown up in?
All on down Cottage Street. So I'll
Okay,
be,
these are just things I can like email the membership at Oxbow, you know, like keep a lookout, go try the new.
yeah, like I come by, I pop in, hey, you know, we've got this going on, can I put something in the window? People always say, yeah.
It's Easthampton Teenage Advisory Council?
It's the Easthampton Public Library
Okay.
Teen Advisory Group. Yeah. These, be careful. These are the original, they're just pages from a book, just be careful.
No problem.
Don't put your maple syrup,
Oh, okay. I won't
don't
use it. I
fold
won't-
the edges.
If I have to sneeze, I'll look the other way.
Okay, thank you.
Very cool.
Yeah, and then like Maud is doing her event on Saturday, the 27th. Yes, because Sunday the 28th. Sunday's the 28th.
Yep.
Yeah.
ECC.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's like other literary events going on, but the ones I told you about, that's what ECA is doing for Poetry Month this year. And that feels really good. And just really concise. Like we want. Like I wanted. So yeah. Public art, lots going on for public art. We're in the middle of 3 different things. So the Emerald Place project, the artists have submitted their first round of proposals for their design. We're reviewing it, and that's gonna get all fleshed out within the next 6 weeks or so. The Cottage Street volunteer sculpture is being made and will be installed in late April or early May. There's gonna be a celebration on Saturday, May 11th, from like 2 to 3, right down here. And we're partnering with the Water's Fine just to use their patio, but we'll have some, Mount Tom's, we're gonna do some like ECA ice cream. And yeah, so there will be a nice little celebration that day. Hope you all can join us. And then we've been planning Have a Heart for Public Art. This is an event that's a fundraiser brunch. This is an event we did in 2017 and in 2019 at Galaxy. We're working there again. It's on Sunday, April 21st. There's 2 shifts at 10 and 11:15. But there's gonna be like, it's $35 a ticket. Casey Douglas from Galaxy is donating, he did this last time too, 100% of the food, 100% of his staff. So 100% of whatever's raised goes straight to ECA and the Public Art Committee. We are going to be refurbishing the mural on Pine Street. It's a beautiful mural painted by Peggy Gross. It was painted in 2010. It's in great shape, but the colors have really faded. And so we've been talking about what to do. The artist was like, you can just paint over it and like make room for something else. But we talked about it as a committee, and we are going to, I know how to restore murals and match colors. So we're gonna do a little tutorial, and we're gonna just go out there, labor of love, probably this fall. We have a meeting soon, we'll talk about it. And we're gonna like bring it back to life. And so I talked to the Gazette the other day. There's gonna be a beautiful story. Many communities don't refurbish their murals. And I think it's like very much in the spirit of Easthampton that while we're like growing new programs, we're like honoring our, past in that way. There's like a generational component to it all. It's also a mural about the wildlife of Nashawanek Pond. The mayor has expressed in recent months wanting more community education around Nashawanek Pond, so there's also like an environmental component there that I think is really important. And yeah, so we're getting ready for the brunch. We're like party planning. There's gonna be a silent auction of just like, between 5 and 7 items that are like, we're shooting for like $200 value and more. So yeah, there's been like, it's like a very active time on the Public Art Committee. It's exciting. Yeah, it is exciting. All right. Cultural Chaos, Saturday, June 8th. Things are in really good shape. I'm booking all the things and plugging people in. I haven't heard back from River Valley Co-op for funding. Usually I know this by now, but we'll see about that. But yeah, it's just all happening. I mean, there's so much to report about, but it's hard. I mean, we begin our weekly meetings this Wednesday. So Wednesday mornings at 9:00 downstairs. We meet every Wednesday morning at 9 a.m. between now and the Wednesday after Cultural Chaos. That's when we do our debrief. So you're all welcome to join us. And you don't have to, but, but I will say Riverside is, has been attending our meetings and is gonna have more of a presence. They had, years ago, they used to do this like for their, anniversary, they had this like sunflower parade with all these kids dressed up like sunflowers. It was really adorable. But they're gonna be doing like art making and just have more of a presence, which is great. So, yeah, it's like all in really good shape, moving along. Easthampton Porch Fest. You guys.
Well, I saw you emailed us today. I have not had a chance to read it yet, but you did, so.
Yeah, so we've been going back and forth on a date. We originally thought the last Saturday in September, which was basically what we did last year. And there was a conflict with it's Northampton Jazz Fest. So we decided we haven't formally decided, but I think we all decided independently to go with Saturday, October 5th. So does anyone know anything that might conflict on October 5th? Who has their calendar so hardwired ready that you know what you're doing in October? Anyway, so that's where we're at. So I think our next step is to do a save the date and kind of like lock down that date and then start building some kind of like the website and Facebook and stuff to kind of highlight and start getting people to save the date, and then we'll take it from there.
What
Yeah.
does Mill Pond go to?
Mill Pond Live?
Yeah,
It's like
it's around then, right?
it's
No.
end of September.
No, it's end of
It's-
August into the first 2 weeks of September.
Okay,
Yeah, because we had thought about that when we initially targeted the end of September date, but it shouldn't overlap.
Yeah.
And Arcadia Folk Festival used to be in late September, but they've moved theirs to the end of August.
got it.
So that's not a conflict.
Yeah, so we're not aware of any conflicts right now, but if anyone hears of anything in the next week.
It's part of the reason we wanna like get the save the date out there. So.
Yeah, to sort of stake the claim a little bit. And then circling back to what you were saying earlier, David, so we are thinking that we would like to see if we can do it in New City again and in this area, like Cottage Street area-ish. It will be partially dependent on who submits their porches. So if you know people, if you wanna submit, getting the word out to people is always gonna be the big thing. So I think the other thing is we will just need to sync with you about getting the website updated. So let us know the best way to do that with like new copy and things like that.
I will email Bronwyn I know he said this before, but so that you can just go in, and
Yeah.
update it.
Anything else on that front?
I don't think so.
Questions, concerns?
Well, Bronwyn may have a lead on anything happening on October 5th.
Oh,
because she
That's
has
true.
all those events that she
Yeah,
lists.
mostly just visual art, but
Yeah, but
she knows of a lot of things. That's a good point.
Awesome. And so we have a line here for the ECC. Do you wanna catch us up on
Sure,
what's going on?
so we are going to be having a grantee reception, sort of like a little mini party for everyone who got a grant from ECC at the end of April. So Tracy has been kindly taking the lead on that and putting some stuff together. So that'll be at Abandoned Brewery. If anyone here is interested, happy to add you to the Evite or just please show up. But we just sent that out, so I actually haven't looked and seen if there's any responses yet.
There
But
were responses. We got about,
I got mine too.
we got
Okay.
about 18.
oh, nice.
people.
Okay, great.
what date is that?
That's a
Sunday.
Sunday. From
April
4 to
28th.
April 28th from 4 to 6.
Yeah.
And it's free.
Yep. So when you go into the brewery, it'll be that side room that they have. So we'll have like a semi-private space, which would be really nice. And then the other big thing, which no one except Steve really knows about, because I've been talking to you, is we've just been struggling a little bit with MCC, because what we found, just so you all know, like what we found out was that we never got the money for ECC from MCC. So the way it works for that committee is the Massachusetts Cultural Council sends a check over, and then that's what we use to distribute the money to the artists. So we've been operating in this weird space, and you probably know some of this too, because Nancy and I and you have been chatting about the finances. So we've been trying to figure out what exactly we have in our accounts. And so we have money from previous years. We had 3 different accounts, and there's different money floating around, and we've got almost everyone's paperwork in. So theoretically, we can just start paying people. But what we discovered recently in the last month was that MCC never sent us the check for this year. So any money that we may have sent out is from other accounts. So I have just been working, that's been taking up most of my time, because I have just been working back and forth. It's too much to go into, but it's just stupid. But basically, we have until the 4th of April to get some paperwork together. It should have been signed already, but there's just been some issues with the mayor's office getting into the DocuSign. So I hope that it will be concluded tomorrow. If it doesn't conclude, that will be a whole other headache that I don't really want to think about. But that is what has been mostly top of mind for
What a
us.
nightmare, and you're not paid.
It really is a
This
nightmare.
is total volunteer, and you're like trying to.
Thank you, Cindy.
Oh my
I
God.
need
No,
you.
and then
I
I'm like,
need
shut
Cindy
your-
to help me with
Sorry,
these
it
voicemails that I'm
sounds really
leaving.
rough.
Did you listen to me on the phone this morning as I called MCC contact after MCC contact and left voicemail saying, I'm just a volunteer trying to figure this
Yeah,
out?
where's our
So
money?
we never made application for that, or what?
I'm sorry?
What is the problem?
So the problem is we don't have any money
I know
to-
that part.
Yeah.
MCC didn't send a check, why?
Sorry,
The
Jen.
problem-
It's been a saga. So basically, MCC decided, unbeknownst to us, that we have new paperwork that we need to fill out for them, which is really dumb because it's basically just telling them who the points of contact are. So I sent all that over a while ago. And then what they need is they need Easthampton's, whoever can basically sign contracts on behalf of Easthampton City, to sign a document saying that they will basically like distribute the money and that they had the authority to do so. So it should be really simple, but the problem is that they sent the DocuSign to the mayor's office, and they didn't agree with me that the contact I gave them for the mayor's office was the right contact, even though the mayor's office is the one who told me what the contact was. So I've been dealing with that.
Right.
They sent the DocuSign over. The mayor cannot access the DocuSign with the email that they sent it to. And I don't know why it's not able to get access, because theoretically you don't need an account. It's a whole thing.
okay.
So anyway, we have a new email. They just need to send it. The person who can send it is out of office. Everyone's out of office or not responding. So I'm hoping that it will all get resolved very quickly.
We'll get them.
I know, it's just, it's been a whole thing, so. Anyway, sorry, that was a very complicated answer for my ECC update, but that's what I've been working on for the past couple
Wow.
weeks, so, yes.
Well, thank you on behalf of everybody.
Yeah.
Seriously, it's a
So,
lot.
Yeah, but other than that, ECC programming has been happening. So our Facebook profile, which one of our committee members runs, has been really active, highlighting ECA stuff. And then there's just been a bunch of things happening. So like Ebby, who's going to be, or EB, who's going to be at the gallery, is also a grantee. So there's just a lot of nice like overlap there. Mods, Press On Publishing Fair is also a grantee of ours. So we have people who've been doing stuff, so it's out there. And yeah, if anyone's interested, we have a website that's been updated, and then the Facebook profile is probably the best place to get some good info. But other than that, it's chugging along just great, with no one having gotten money in, so, yes.
Wow, all right, so,
When's your next meeting? Is it a week from tomorrow?
I think so.
You guys are second Tuesday?
Yeah.
That's good. All right. Like, it's good that it's just,
The
it helps
16th.
me. It's good for me and my memory.
Yeah, the next meeting will be
It's
on the
always the next
16th of
week.
April,
Okay.
so.
It's the
then that's
third, it's the third.
the third Tuesday,
Third
not the
Tuesday.
second Tuesday.
Yeah, we had to meet off schedule last time because of scheduling issues,
I
but
see. You guys are the third Tuesday, that's not in my mind. Okay.
On to literary programming?
Yeah. All right. And it's 5:45, so I think we're in good shape. Literary programming. We had talked about the possibility of doing some sort of literary event in like the fall, early winter, like end of the year. And I think we should talk a little bit more about that. So far, we've talked about having it be based in Eastworks or maybe the Mills district. I know there's been a lot of interest and enthusiasm. I did talk to Maud because I want to make sure it doesn't feel like redundant with her event, that there's a way to kind of, it's more of like a growing thing and less like a, and yeah, so I just want to, I know you've done a lot of work checking in with people, but I think, at this point, it's just really an open discussion about whether or not we want to do a new event, if we do a new event, like what the scope of it would be, what that would look like, the kinds of things we would want to do, the kinds of things we might not want to do for different reasons. So, yeah.
I'll jump in. So this Saturday at my gallery, 5 colleges, Asian Studies something program is doing a teacher training for high school and middle school teachers throughout the state, and actually New England, for using Japanese art and Asian art as an ELA type writing assignments, like teaching them both printmaking, basic printmaking, but also using manga and Japanese woodblock printmaking to encourage creative writing. So I'm not hosting it, I'm hosting the space, but 5 colleges is doing it, which is kind of how my thoughts of more printmaking and paper and book in Eastworks, because I'm surrounded by printmakers, the comic book guys down the hall, a whole bunch of others. There's 2 antique book dealers in there. The idea being like we could do a big paper related.
Yeah.
Both printmaking, books, comic books, but also the idea of it'd be really fun if it's a full day of activities, like as the weather gets miserable for kids and everything else, to go in and like have all of these things going on.
So for paper, could it also be visual art?
I'm sure I can, like with Sharona Color and Resilient Arts.
Well, and like a whole building full of artists.
Yeah, but I mean, they're the ones that have like, they're really open to children coming in and doing things, but also like screen printing and everything else like that. There's a lot of, and there were a whole bunch of people that were like, oh, that sounds really fun. Like, I would love to get involved in doing that. The idea being like, we have the first floor, people have studio spaces, hallways, like really go at it.
I love the idea of like a paper event.
I have a maybe dumb question. But is a paper event the same thing as a literary event? Because
So part of it would be bookmaking, like the
Okay.
idea of like making manga.
I just, I am aware, and because she's not here, I feel like I'm just gonna sort of speak for Maud. I don't want to have that conflict too much if it's like another printmaking event, but I also know, and probably there's folks here who know more than I do, there was the Book Fest historically. So I'm just curious if there's ways to like not have it be solely paper, but bring in more of the book element to distinguish it a little bit from other stuff, but also not have the bookmaking and printmaking kind
So
of things.
I don't know anything about her event. So is her event mostly vendors or is it activities?
It's both,
Yeah.
and it's presentations, like there are like a number of elements of like she wasn't around for ECA's Book Fest, and it hasn't happened in 5 years. But it's like there are a few of, there's like a market too,
She does a zine.
and like a publisher's market.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, when I think of paper, though, I do think of visual. Like there's all these print fairs and paper, so I think of it more visual and less literary. So I do think somehow there should be a distinction or somehow where we can bring in the literary aspect of it without,
Yeah,
being.
Well, I think there would be a literary. I think it's just how we frame it and
I'm just putting like the manga and things, it's
Yeah.
like, those are
Yeah.
my interests.
Yeah.
But
And I
people can
think
come at it with
there's
more
space
than
for
that.
it, but I also think that, because like what you're talking about is like different kinds of activities and stuff, which I think is great. And then I just want to make sure we don't like skew too far all the way over. But like you probably know this too, like at last year's Open Studios and Eastworks, the Easthampton Library had they took over the old gallery space and they just had the secondhand book sale there. That could be a really cool part of it. We have local authors that maybe we can get to come do talks or readings. So that would be stuff I think would be
Easthampton
nice to
Media has an amazing
build out.
theater that's all built in, they can live stream it, they can broadcast it, they can record it. There's a lot of resources in that one
Yeah.
building alone.
Yeah. I like the idea of artists reading, and lecture, kind of a lecture element to
And
it.
for BookFest, we used to do panel discussions. We had panel discussions at Luthier's that was about the history of rock and roll, or just cool
Oh, yeah.
topics that we had professors from Smith and local musicians. We can do whatever we want. And yeah, so I think, it's kind of cool. Yeah, just thinking about it we used to also have a literary marketplace that had literally 40 tables of all local publishers. And they just brought their books, and White Square Books for Book Moon used to do a secondhand book sale, and all the proceeds would go to the community center. There were just it was very dynamic and
Yeah, we had, White Square Book had a reading there.
Yeah.
There was a reading, I can't think of his name now.
There was always a children's book author,
Williams or something, very well known.
Mo Willems.
Yeah, he did a presentation at the middle school,
Yeah.
so that, we did have things all over
Nice
town.
tie-in.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
between Easthampton Media and the community room, and empty spaces, there's a lot that we could do.
I feel like we also don't have to go overboard because,
Yeah.
I know in the past, BookFest was really built out, but we can start manageable,
I like
right?
that. Thank
The stuff you're suggesting, and then maybe 2 authors and a talk or something like that, or a book sale. It doesn't have to be too big, but we can start with something just to kind of get it started again. Because I think what comes up a lot in this committee, which I think is interesting, is sort of stuff that we've done in the past. And then we have folks like us who are newer to Easthampton, and also people in the community who are newer who may have heard about it, but don't know it. And I think there's this really cool opportunity to recreate and re-envision stuff that we've done. And so we don't have to just copy paste, but we could reimagine it in some way.
I love that.
I would love to put out the idea of saying, this is our concept in a greater way, and put out to people to propose, I would love to be part of this event. This is how I would want to be a part of it.
Yeah.
And see where it takes us. And it might be that, someone we haven't considered goes, I'm going to do 4 lecture demonstrations over the course of a day on these times. Or another person that says, I would love to bring 3 tables and sell secondhand books. And that would be the library. And just
poetry on demand, like lots of things
Yeah,
are just gonna
based on like what
come.
people bring to the table, say, okay, let's put together based on like all of these
That's
different
cool.
interests within the idea of here's our greater concept. Open up to the community to say, how would you like to participate and contribute to this?
That's fun.
So you don't just see this as like an Eastworks event, or you
No,
do?
because I can talk to Will about availability, but I think he's very open to the idea of people coming in as part of a greater event to get traffic and to just get excitement and energy going.
Right, so I'm just thinking like, you wouldn't wanna like bring it over to Cottage Street, have like 3 poets doing like readings or something at the gallery, at the Oxbow, like just like a map of like moving through,
Well,
moving
that's-
around.
I mean, maybe.
Possible.
Sure.
Okay, all right, just wasn't sure what the vision was and.
Well, I think to both of your points, like, this is the like envisioning time when if you're saying like, we can do that, then let's like put it into the mix, you know? Like I feel, I like the idea of putting it out there because there's probably a lot of really cool ideas like we are not thinking of.
Right.
I don't know if anyone would even wanna do this, but I'm like, what if we did like adult book reports, and it's like open mic.
Very fun.
Get up and just talk about a book that you read recently.
I've always wanted to do a diorama show of like adults making dioramas of their books that they like.
Because I think there's a lot of
An
fun things
ECA
we can do
gallery,
with it.
like how cute would that be if there was just like a
Shoe
salon?
boxes, like shoe
Yeah,
boxes.
and that's
Yeah.
the thing, it has to be in a shoebox.
I feel like that's one of those like painting for adults where they have like the wine and the
No,
painting
so much
event, but you've
cooler.
gone like made a hard left turn and you're in diorama
Yeah, no,
land.
this is cool. Like,
This would not
people
be
would love it. And actually, we
Paint by
could have
numbers.
like open diorama workshops, and it's like bring your own diorama making supplies, and
We'll provide a shoebox any size.
My kids still make dioramas, so I'm just picturing adults doing it.
Well,
they'd be
it's not-
amazing.
it's
This
not quite-
community would make like. Anyway, that's just a
Well,
side. note.
what I was
That's
gonna say
just
is,
my own little personal. Like,
It's not quite a diorama, but Mike, who's on our ECC committee, he does these collage workshops. So again, it's like taking the printed word and turning it into something different. I think there's a lot of like ways to go with this. But I mean, personally, I love books, so I'm very excited about doing a literary themed event because I think it would be really cool. And I know when we moved here, I had heard of Book Fest and I was kind of bummed that it didn't happen anymore. So.
well, I'll tell you, Big Wheel Press over here, they would do these like awesome workshops.
Yeah.
Where people would go and use their printing presses and like, I mean,
They used to do it for like Valentine's Day, where you can come in and make
Well,
your own
that,
Valentine's
but
Day cards and like,
yeah.
but like, it was always something, they don't do it as much, I mean, since COVID.
Okay. I've seen them at the food co-op making
That's true.
Valentine's. But yeah, and like there is a whole like realm of bookmakers, like world renowned bookmakers in Easthampton. Lisa Hersey,
Across the street.
yeah,
Mhm.
she organized this absolutely incredible show of handmade books that was at White Square,
Mhm.
I think for the last book fest. So like okay, this is great. I like this idea of let's put it out there and kind of say like, what would you like to do? Like we wanna hear you, like we're curious. Something I would love to talk to this committee about are dates and time, just general. So like first weekend of November is Eastworks Open Studios. We have our Porch Fest October 5th. So like that's important. I don't want it to be like the next weekend in October or whatever. Winterfest is the second Saturday of February.
I would love for this to be the doldrums of January.
Holidays.
And we
After
don't-
the
and we're not doing
holidays,
Art Walk
and
in
when it's
January,
like
right?
And
crappy
we
weather.
don't do Art Walk in January.
And if it's gonna be a Saturday, maybe January 4th is the day that we aim for.
If people are
That's the
still
first
hungover.
Saturday.
I think that's still a
Let's
little
go
too
one more after that.
Yeah, I would say I
We're
would
still recovering.
The 11th of
Well, no,
January.
good, yeah, I would go.
Exhale from the,
Everyone's like,
you know,
But I mean, like, but we're not doing art walk, so it's sort of like, hey, instead of that, like, come inside and do this thing.
That's why I like
maybe
the
all
I like the
over.
doldrums of
Felicia
January.
talk about her favorite book for 5
Well,
minutes? I love
I'm
that.
laughing because I'm a huge science fiction fantasy nerd, and I've been reading the Wheel of Time series since I was like 12 years old. So you
awesome.
can have me. I'll just talk about that for an hour, and then
awesome.
there's some programming right there for you.
Well, we tried, both Rachel and I tried to get Joe Donahue from WAMC to come. He was open to it if he could, because we wanted to interview him. But he would be open to it, he was open to it at the time, if he could interview an author, like he does his
Yeah.
regular roundtable thing with an author. Because he works with Odyssey Books in South Hadley
Oh,
and
cool.
a couple of other local bookstores, so it may be unattainable, but
Well, there are
that
a
was
lot
one
of
thing we
local
tried to do.
authors. I reached out to Emily Nagoski, who just has a new book out, because I was like, just come to like a brewery and like talk about your book sometime. And so I connected with her husband who manages her stuff, and he was like, we're on a book tour right now, we're not really planning stuff, but like, let's touch base afterwards. But that's one option. Like, there's other people I know who are in the city who,
I tried to get Wally Lamb to come, because I know him, but didn't work out.
yeah.
So it's,
There's a lot of options, which I think is
yeah,
cool.
options to try, to get someone who has some, not star power, but some.
Yeah,
No,
some
yeah.
cred, like
Some cred, there you go.
So someone who people will like want to go,
Yeah,
and then they can
people
sign
will
their
wanna come.
books, and like all
Well,
the
I-
good stuff that feels good for
I was
everyone.
gonna suggest, and this might not be a year one thing, 'cause yeah, I agree that this is something that could grow and scale up. We don't have to start at 100. But paying somebody, like actually shelling out money to get a name that would attract people in terms of authors is something maybe
We
down the
always
line.
used to pay, I mean,
But like,
yeah, you're
get like
talking
the-
big time.
bring some not from, maybe not even local, but someone that you bring in that, people would wanna go see.
Yeah, there's plenty of people out in the woods in the hill towns that you don't know about.
I'm sure, just gotta.
Tracy Kidder would always do something,
There you go, yeah,
know?
him, yeah.
And Jonathan Haar, like he's great.
Write those names down, because Tracy would be very interested
He
to talk
would, and
to.
he'd probably do it for free because his stuff is so like mission oriented, like his latest book about the rough sleepers in Boston,
Yeah.
the homeless, you know.
He did that one book about
It's so
Northampton.
good, I know,
So, yeah, so there's a,
yeah, there are
There's
a lot of
lots of
people,
there's a lot of
tons
people,
really
yeah.
good writers.
Set up some good panels.
I was just checking the date to make sure it wasn't a holiday. It's International Thank You Day.
On
I'm
what
not sure what
day?
that has to do with anything. I
On
just thought it was really
what?
funny.
When is that?
January 11th, 2025.
Where
It's
did you
International
find
Thank
that?
You
You
Day.
Googled what happens on January?
Yeah, what
I was
holiday?
looking at
I was like,
January
just in
11th,
case.
because it's
There's probably some
111.
Catholic
Well,
Now
that's
you're
okay.
very
That's kinda
catchy.
fun. Yeah. We can do some kind of like binary
International
code
Thank You Day.
Mm-hmm.
programming.
Have you thanked a book?
Have you thanked with a book?
Have you given someone a book today? Thank you.
January, well, I don't love the idea of doing something in January. But I'll do something in January. I mean, that doesn't.
It's
You have to
indoors and
think
it's-
like
the heat will be on.
Canadians, you know,
Yeah.
like you just go live, even if it's 90 below
It's just
or
a
something.
pause time. But that's okay. What about January 25th?
Has a nice ring to it. What's the holiday, David?
That known for.
It's National
It's
No
Pizza
Thank You
Day.
That's a conflict.
It's national, Christ, it's cold.
That's more accurate.
Nothing.
Nothing. No, it's just a,
And we don't wanna do this as part of Winterfest, right? Definitely
no,
not.
no,
Just
no,
making
no.
sure, just making sure, cross my
That's a good
mind.
question, but I think we can keep it
Yeah,
separated.
I think it should be.
I love all these ideas.
It's Burns Night. The night that Scots celebrate the life and works of Robert Burns.
Oh,
There you go.
perfect! That's perfect, so that's their poetry.
yeah, double malt
Bobby
Scotch
Burns.
whiskey and
Right.
sitting around a.
That's like, all right, ready to go.
That's auspicious.
December just seems like a bad month to do a new program
No,
for a
no,
million
no,
reasons.
yeah, no
Don't do
December,
that.
no.
And then November is complicated because Thanksgiving,
And then there's
and
open
it's like
studios and.
open studios, and then it would be
no,
like
yeah.
a week or two
No,
after.
I like January.
I like January. I think we're in
It's the
January.
doldrums, it's perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah,
there
cause
isn't
like
a
people
lot
will be
going on.
looking for something to do and there's no holiday excitement, so it's like come out to this thing.
So I think it's either Saturday, January 11th or Saturday, January 25th. The 18th is Martin Luther King weekend, and I don't think we should do that.
That's why I was checking the holiday. I wanted to make sure I didn't screw it up.
Wow. Great.
We don't need to pick right now, do we? Should we?
No, I don't think we need to pick, but I think we can target
Yeah.
those 2 dates.
I kind of like the 25th. I just want to say, just being realistic about holidays and coordinating and people traveling.
Well, it like you said, it's good to have a target, because if we begin to talk to people about appearing and doing presentations, you want to target. They're gonna ask, well,
I think-
when do you wanna do this? And we can say January.
I think January 25th is better than the 11th.
All right.
Fine.
It doesn't, it
Should we
sounds
do
good.
a vote on it? I motion to do a vote if we
Send
like
out a
January
I don't-
25th.
Sure, second.
Do another ballot.
I don't think we need to
Deep
vote,
data
but we
dive.
can vote. All right.
All in favor?
So we're literary.
Favor?
Wow, cool.
Can I vote now? I think I got a letter from the mayor.
Yeah.
I think I did. I think something said I've been approved. Maybe I
Only
need to
like
sign
a year
the
and a half
book.
later.
Maybe I have to sign.
All right.
Let me,
What
let
What are
me,
we calling this?
even though we're, okay,
What's our
let
working?
me check
Unnamed
with
book
Will first
Yeah,
about
Oh, yeah.
It's a
one
working
about this
date.
event,
It's a
but then
working
two
date.
about this date.
yeah, because if he finally gets around to renovating the first floor, we'll be screwed. Oh,
It's a public meeting.
I want an escape room again. I really like those.
I've never done that. I bet I would look at. All right,
I'll make you
I'm
one.
saving the date. ECA literary event. Cool. Sounds productive.
Yeah, I would say let Will know as soon as possible, just to, prepare him for.
I mean, if worst case scenario, we could find probably other spaces to do something in.
If it was
But I
Easthampton
don't,
wide.
yeah, I don't foresee it being an issue at all. So. All right.
I just want to say, I want something with a really cool title. I do. Like something that's specific and unique and like that no one's ever heard before.
I agree.
That's a little less descriptive and just like saying what it is, and a little more like it's a destination. It's like we're going to
So
that
it's like we're going to
cool thing.
Bookhampton.
Well, like,
Something.
no, there's bread loaf in Vermont. I was thinking of hardcover. How could hardcover be like the pun? But yeah, no, I agree with you. It should have a cool name.
It should be something. I want to make like a new thing.
Word fest? No.
I think if we have fest in the word, it just makes it uncool by definition.
Yeah, okay.
Hey, what about
Sorry.
Fest?
Yeah.
Yeah,
We could be courting.
You got Porch Fest, cultural chaos, so
Yeah, but it's
just
still a
veer
cultural
out of that,
chaos,
like.
right?
Huh?
What's cultural chaos now called?
It's still cultural chaos. It wasn't. Now it is again. And
Everybody's cool with that? Right, and
it's fine. It's a
Good.
conversation that's can always be had. For this year, it's cultural chaos.
Well, we have time now. We can
We
start
have time
thinking
now.
about some names.
One way.
Something based
One
around
way
literati.
They could tie in video gamers. My nephew-in-law, my niece's husband, is Roger Clark, who is the voiceover for Red Dead Redemption series
Ah, cool.
worldwide.
That is big, yeah.
That's pretty big, yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty big, yeah, so.
Well,
I
there
don't even know
could
what
be
that
like
is.
a really
It's a
cool
big
panel
game.
about like writing for the video game
Yeah.
industry, and then you have a variety
Right.
of people like, him and whoever else. Anyway,
So
there's
that's
lots of
another,
options.
that's another option.
Doris did a panel at the last book fest, one of the last book fests at Easthampton Media. They had just opened. I think it was called Voices Heard, HER''D, of women who had been incarcerated reading their poetry, and it was beautiful. We did some great, there were some really solid programs.
A piece of art that I have is a screen print from a show that was called Punked, and it was PUNCT. And it was, each one of the print artists was given a piece of punctuation to make art that had to incorporate the punctuation in it. This was 20 years ago, but the art was, I'll see if I can find it and send it to you guys, but the art in the series was amazing. And the artists who were part of it were famous print designers that all contributed to this show. And yeah, Punked.
I feel like there's so many ways to go too, but I just had a thought as well, because you mentioned the print shop over here, and I think there's others too. As you mentioned, we could probably try to come up with some sort of poster for it and then have prints available maybe. We should probably do that for everything that we do, Cultural Chaos, Sport Fest. We should have unique prints that are
I talked about that for Art Walk.
Yeah.
Sort of that kind of graphic. It's graphic vintage poster.
Yeah, because
kind of
when I
thing.
lived in in Somerville, they had their open studios, and it was a different print every year. It was collectible. You could buy it, get it. The farmers market would sell it. It was I had a bunch of them.
Or the Fluff Fest stuff.
Yeah, Fluff Fest is another one for sure.
They would always, it was a big deal when they released their design for Fluff Fest every year.
There are a bunch of printmakers in Cottage Street too, who do workshops. I mean, there's so much.
Yeah.
Fun.
Yeah. All right, well, I think new business.
Oh,
We had to go back to
I forgot, your new business.
David's.
I'll just, do you have 4 minutes?
Yeah.
Really quickly. So at the beginning of the meeting, David mentioned that Will was inquiring about where a thing, is it a possibility, or I don't know the exact phrasing. But basically, we have Cottage Street Cultural District. It's a state designated cultural district. It's one of hundreds of cultural districts in the state. We were in the first batch of them, and it's now been, I think, I don't know, more, yeah. I think we're coming up on 15 years. Okay, so Jeff Bagg was, so let me just back up before Jeff Bagg. So we have to reapply for designation every 5 years. We used to, we haven't this time. But there was talk in 2018, and for the year and a half leading up to 2018, with Cottage Street store owners, with a number of people, do we want to expand? Do we want to make a case? There's a whole list of there can only be so many feet between cultural, so there's a whole thing. But Easthampton's very different now than it used to be. And we added the Button Building. There's been little, but there has been a real push in this city to have a second cultural district rather than expanding, because they are very different. It's not exactly walkable, but now there's the bike path and it has lights. There's you can see it both ways. Last year, Jeff had me write out this whole document, what it would take to make the Mills its own cultural district. And I did all the research. It's you need, and I will just say that Jeff and I always talked that, because it needs a governing structure, it needs some sort of leader, and it gets funding, but it needs someone to apply for the grants. And there's a lot, it's the amount of work I put into the cultural district is a lot. So we always talked about, and I always said, if that ever happens, ECA either has to be doing it, or we need to have be in full coordination. We can't just have we're this little city. To have something out, it needs to be a very coordinated thing. So we always thought that it would be a great way to try to get a part-time person at ECA. is like, that's taking on a big thing, but it's related to this other thing we're doing. And maybe it would be like an events person, or maybe, it's like a part-time someone, but that would really focus on that. And I just think it's really good. I think it would be really good for Easthampton. But it's not just like an hour a thing. It's like there's a lot involved and there's a lot of requirements you have to do, like a festival, you have to do this, you have to do that. There's like a checklist of things. But so where is that at? It was not ever like, with all the things going on in the city, it's not like at the top of the list. We also don't have a city planner right now, and we're gonna have a new person. And that person's gonna be taking on what they're taking on, and it's really going to, that person is gonna have a lot to say about it. It's like, what's the new vision? What's the new, like, direction? We're also getting a new mayor in a year and a half, right?
And you think like, especially with the city planner, like they may want to have insight into this process?
Absolutely, they're gonna need to. I mean, we're too small of a place to just be like doing that, like renegade. Like, people just like, we're gonna make a cultural district over here, like, without, so I just feel like it's not simple, but a lot of work has been done so that when it's time, like, I could write an application really easily, like, and I'm happy to, meet with you and talk more about it. But, in terms of Will asking, it's like, let's get a new planner, let's let them get settled, and then let's have a different conversation. But it would feel very important to me that it's like coordinated and it's like a very involved discussion. That's just how I feel. Right.
Thanks so
All
much,
right,
Lynn.
thank you. All right, everyone, I think
Good meeting.
that will conclude.
This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.